Welcome everyone to our weekly Forex market analysis. This is in preparation for trading for the week of September 25th to 29th. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. Trading is a risky business, so please be careful with your money. And if you have questions about your individual investing needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. So let's start off as usual by taking a look at our Forex Factory economic calendar here. So the theme, as I've been talking over the last little while, has been around the central bankers. So right now, market is trying to find its feet because we have seen a lot of central bank activity. We have had a very loose monetary policy over the last 7-8 years, ever since we had the big financial crash. All the banks were actually tripping over each other trying to cut the interest rates. And now we have started seeing central banks raising interest rates and also central banks talking about cutting back on the monetary policy. So as a result of that, it has created now we don't know exactly how the market needs to settle down now. Because we have just seen back and forth last week. Every time a central bank comes and says something, market moves. And so there really hasn't been much of alignment in the market last week. So we saw the risk currencies moving one way, commodity currencies moving the other way. So let's see if market can find its feet again, and then we have some sort of nice trending moves going on. But this week again, we have a lot of central bankers speaking, so that will be, that will be interesting. There, expect volatility in the market. That's what I'll say. Best thing to do is keep your position small or do demo trading, because market does need to find its feet right now, and this is the type of environment we see when market conditions change as a result of something external going on. In this case, is the central bank activity. So starting at the top, right now we have German elections. So if Merkel is back in, that would be good for the markets, in the sense that markets already know what's going on, like what the policies and stuff are of that government. If somebody else comes in, the concern really is the Brexit negotiations. So Brexit negotiations will come more to the forefront as we move forward, and as a result of that, will have an impact on the market. So the concern that the market would have is who will get elected and how will their policies impact the Brexit negotiations. So that's the biggest concern there. Going into Monday here, we have two central bankers speaking, Bank of Japan, and we have ECB President Draghi speaking. Both of them, any of these will have an impact on the markets. And then we have FOMC members speaking as well. So these are Fed members, so they're not as important as, for example, Draghi or Governor Kuroda speaking, because they are the head of the central bank, but they can still have an impact. And we also have RBA, Reserve Bank of Australia, Assistant Governor Bullock speaking. So all of these central bankers do tend to have an impact on the market, so watch out for volatility around that. So that's the main theme for our Monday here. Tuesday, we start to see more numbers come in. We have consumer confidence number for US, and then we have Fed Chair Yellen speaking. So another central banker speaking. So between FOMC member Brainard and Yellen will have a bigger impact. But again, market is really just watching to see what is their take. So Fed came out and said that they are going to start reducing their balance sheet as of next month. So market just wants to see more of the follow through on that language. So that was positive for the US, and market wants to see more of that. They just want to see when they're going to raise rates, because they did say that they're on track to raise rates again this year. So that's the third rate hike that is expected from the Fed. So if the language is positive and it's more of a follow through on what they said previously, that will be positive for the US dollar here. And going into Wednesday, the main theme here, so we have core durable goods orders for the US, that will be important, and also pending home sales are usually important. Crude oil inventories will be important for Canadian dollar. Usually the Canadian dollar tends to move because oil will move, and as a result of that, Canadian dollar will move in the direction, same direction as the oil. So dollar CAD, if oil goes up, dollar CAD will go down because Canadian dollar will go up. And then we have Bank of Canada Governor Pola. So Canada has been raising rates. They have done 2 interest rate hikes this year. And again, the market wants to see, are they still positive on that? Are they going to continue on with the rate hikes? If they get good commentary out of Governor Polas, then things will be good. But sometimes the central bankers may avoid the issue and not talk about monetary policy in some of these speeches. So keep that in mind. But the main thing is, are they going to continue on with the theme that they have? And if they say positive things to continue, then that will be positive. For Canadian dollar here, we have New Zealand, Reserve Bank of New Zealand, official cash rate. We're not expecting a change in that. Again, the focus will be more on the commentary of how the central bank sees things. So if they say, I was just reading an article that said that one of the bankers was saying that New Zealand economy has peaked. So if they make comments saying, okay, oh, we're at the top now, it's not going to grow anymore, the economy is not likely to grow further, that type of stuff, that will be negative for New Zealand dollar. But if the central bank comes out and says the economy is doing good, wages are good, housing activity is good, overall we are happy with the way things are going, kind of like what Bank of Canada said, that will be positive. And as a result, even if they don't raise interest rates, but if they say at some point we have to start looking at raising rates like Bank of England said, that will be positive for the New Zealand. But if they say economy has peaked and we're not expecting a lot of growth in 2018, that will be negative for New Zealand dollar. So it's just about the language. And then we have on Thursday, we have Bank of Japan again. We have Bank of England, Governor Carney, and we have Reserve Bank of Australia. So a lot of central bank activity. I would highly recommend to just make sure you understand that we are expecting volatility in the market as a result of those comments. So it's best to just keep the position sizes small because of all this. Market can be driven by a lot of these comments. GDP numbers will be important for the US. Number comes out positive, that will be good. For the US comes out negative, that will be negative. And then we have employment numbers, more FOMC members. And then going into our Friday here, we have British pound trade balance, current account. We're expecting, it's expected to come in better than the last time. So if that comes in better than last time, that will be positive. And we also have final GDP numbers for the British pound here. GDP numbers for Canada, and we have CPI for Eurozone. So those numbers are important. Chicago PMI, so a lot of data coming out. We have UOM consumer sentiment numbers for the US, and then we have ECB President Draghi and Bank of England, Governor Carney speaking again. So as we can see, pretty much every day we have a central banker speaking. Basically, expect volatility. That's the bottom line. So let's go take a look at what's going on in the markets. We'll start off with our Euro US dollar weekly chart here. So in this case, so right now we are between these two here. This is a range that the price has been trading for the last few weeks. As we can see, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's been a whole month that price has stayed between these levels. So we're going to trade this as a range-bound market. I'm looking at it just in that sense. Now, things could change based on Draghi's comments, because if he starts to sound a little bit more negative, and we are also expecting their asset reduction stuff to come in October. If they start throwing doubts on those things, that will be negative for the euro. But if they speak positively about that, that will be positive for it. So we just really need to watch this level 1.1830 to the bottom. So if the price stays above this, comes into this level and bounces off. So that's what I'm looking for, price to stay in this range. If it comes to the top here at 1.2092, so about 12100 level, I'm looking for price to bounce down from that. So this is a range bound type of move that I'm expecting. Same thing that we were expecting last week. So the weekly candle close is very, very neutral. There is no trend here for euro. So we're going to trade it as a range bound market. I'm looking to sell at the high, looking to buy at the bottom, and looking for price to just bounce back and forth between the two levels. When and if the price gets out of this range, then we are going to look for, either I'm going to look for this move, so price to break to the high and then pull back. That will be the level to look for entry to the high. Or if it breaks down, then I'm going to look for a break of 1.1837 level, a pull up, and then a drop in that. So for now, I'm just looking for a range bound market. So are you guys able to hear me okay? I'm hearing from a couple people that there may be some audio issues. Yeah, so you can hear me okay. So my mic is turned on. Okay, so I'm getting audio is good. So it looks like people are able to hear me. So there may be a problem at your end with the speakers. I would just check that. Okay, so range bound for euro US dollar. British pound here. Let's take a look. So British pound is also range bound for the last few days. So looking at our weekly candle, we have seen a pullback. So we are back into the support resistance area up here. So now we are getting a bit of a pullback. Now the question is, so this is still bullish because even though we have a bearish candle here, as long as price holds the highs, if price holds above this 1.3450 level, then we could see a move to the upside. And in that case, we could see price go and test the high here of 136.50 and potentially even move up higher into this next level here. So for now, we are going to see how price reacts at this level here, which is 1.3450 level. If the price holds above 134.50 level, then we're looking for a move to the upside. If the pullback continues, so if the price is not holding, if price breaks the 134.50 level, then I'm looking for the price to continue lower, and then our target would be 1.3180. So looking for price to come back and test this previous levels. So decisive factor will be the 134.50 level, and we just need to see if it holds, then the bias will be to the upside. If it breaks, then we're looking for price to come back lower. So our first target level in that case would be 132.80, and then we're looking at 131.80 to the downside. So if price stays above 134.50, then I'm looking for a move back into 136.60 area to the upside. So right now it has a bullish bias, but we just need to see how big a pullback we're going to see in that. Aussie US dollar here. Aussie has been interesting. It has been back and forth all week. So right now, for last few weeks, it's also sideways. And this is what I mean when I say that the market's trying to find its feet. So there's no clear trend in any of these. The only sort of a trending move that we are seeing, it really is in British pound, because Bank of England came in as positive. They were positive because the data is coming out positive, the economy is doing well, and they were saying at some point they will be forced to raise rates because things are going really well, inflation is good. So as a result of that, that's what we saw. So this week, in terms of our Aussie here, again, we have a big pin on the top, pin on the bottom. So this is bearish to neutral. And in this case, we could see a move down into, so we'll treat this as a range bound as well, because there isn't any big clear direction in this one for the last few weeks now. it's just hovered in this area. It hasn't broken above, it's just hovered in this area. So price stopped here, so I'm looking for price to come back down. So my bias for Aussie is to the downside. We may see one of these moves, and price, I'm looking for it to come and test this high again at 7800. So 0.7800 is my target for Aussie. So I'm just looking for a move to the downside in Aussie US dollar. So bearish on that one. New Zealand US dollar here. New Zealand has been up and down. So in terms of the weekly move here, we did see price push up into the next support or resistance level, but it hasn't managed to really hold up. So we do have a big pin here and a bullish candle. So this gives us more of a neutral bias because the pin shows rejection, the bullish candle shows bullishness. As a result of that, the two cancel each other and we have more of a neutral bias on this one. So here I am looking for price to basically maybe even come and test the high here, 74.30 level, and then bounce back towards the bottom here, 72.40 or 72.50 level is the target to the downside. But it could move lower into this range here because price has kind of played with this range for the last few weeks, same as Australian dollar. So I'm looking for price to stay between 74.30 to the high and 71.40 level or 71.50 level in the bottom. So looking for price to maybe test the high and then drop back towards the bottom of the range and bounce off of the bottom of the range to the upside. So this is also range bound, looking for price to basically test the range. Dollar CAD here. Dollar CAD last few days hasn't done a whole lot. It has come back and tested this previous level. And at this point, we are into resistance areas now. So I'm looking for price to show some reaction around 1.2420 level right over here. So looking for price to, so the bias overall trend is to the downside on this one. If you see here, the overall trend is to the downside. We still have price trending lower here. So with that said, in the short term, we could have another move to the upside. So price could move up higher. I'm looking for a retest of 124.20 and then potentially a drop from there because I think this will be an important support and resistance level. It could go slightly higher into this level here of 124.80. So I would watch out for that, this support and resistance area right here. So it could go higher. The first test level that I'm looking for is 124.20 level and then 124.80 level. But that's where I'm looking for a reaction and the pullback to stop and see if we see the move continue to the downward direction. So potential short opportunity would be 124.80 level, and then the target is 120.80 to the downside. So this one looks like we may get a pullback and then price continue back into the range again. Euro pound here. In terms of our weekly candle close, we had a big drop and now we are seeing a pullback in this. So for this one, we could see a continuation of the move to the downside. So I'm looking for a pullback. So 8,900 is where we are. We could get a deeper pullback into this level because that's quite a drop. So we could get a deeper pullback into 89.90 level, so 8,100, and then a move back towards 87.50 level right into here. So that's the type of move I am expecting in this one. Price to push back up into 89.90 or 8,100 level and then a drop back into 87.50 level for this one. Euro Swiss franc here. Weekly candle is very bullish, so we're looking for a further move to the upside in this one. The target here, let's go, oops. Okay, so the target, we are already at the previous target that we had talked about, 1.1640 level. Now we're looking for a further move to the upside. We're filling this inefficiency at this point. So once the price broke above this previous support and resistance level, now we are likely to just fill this up. Now we are at 1.369. 1.1640 level, and I'm looking for a move into 1.1820. So this is bullish. Pound Swiss franc, British pound retraced a bit on Friday. So right now we have a bit of a pin here. We have gone into this previous support and resistance, and now we have seen the price move lower. At this point, it is neutral because we do have a pin on the top, small candle body. It's not completely bearish at this point. So what we need to see here is it going to break this level? So we may see price pull back. As the price pulls back in British pound, this is likely to drop as well. The test will be 129.50. If it holds above this level, then we are looking for a further move to the upside. But if that level drops, then we are looking for a further pullback into this level right here, 1.2850 level. So this will be the target, but 129.50 will be a very important place for us to look to watch this level. If it does this, just like we looked at the other British pound US dollar, if it stays above, then it's likely to push back higher. So, okay, so this one is bullish to neutral for now. Dollar Swiss franc. Not my best chart here. Okay, so let's move on to yen crosses now. Pound yen, same thing. We have a bit of a pin bar. So as a result of that, overall in all the pound crosses here, we could get a pullback. And the pullback level that I'm looking for is 147.90. So this previous support and resistance, I'm looking for price to move back a little bit lower in this one here as well, and see if it does one of these moves. So if price holds above 147.90, then we are likely to see a move to the upside, and in that case the target will be 153.29. But I will be looking for a pullback first before looking for a long in this. So the pullback level will be 147.90, and then a long from that level, and the target will be a 153.30 level there. Euro yen is range bound for the last few days, but overall it has, even the last few days, it's been kind of range bound here, but overall it has pushed up. So the next target that we are looking for, let me just get rid of some lines here. So this is where we are. The next target that we're looking for, so this is bullish, looking for, first I will look for a break of this level because this is an important support and resistance, 134.50. So I'm looking for price to move to the next level, 136.80 level to the upside. But first we need to see a break of 134.50, because if that doesn't break, it could come back lower. Overall, the bias is bullish, and we're looking for move to the next level. Aussie yen. Aussie yen, this is kind of like the British pound move that we saw. So if the price holds above this 88.50 level, it will still have the bias to the upside. But if that level breaks, because we do have a big rejection up top, so this pin, the pins usually mean rejection, that the price is not willing to go up higher. So once we see a break of 88.50, then we are looking for a price to move down to 87.20 level, the bottom of this candle. But if it holds above this, it can do the same move that we were talking about in the British pound there as well. So sort of one of these moves. And also in terms of the Japanese yen crosses, so usually when there is geopolitical unrest in the market, Japanese yen tends to strengthen, so all the crosses will go down. But over the last little while, I think market has become desensitized to the different comments coming of President Trump's tweets and also from North Korea. So as a result of that, market's not really taking any of those seriously. Market is just sort of doing what it's doing. So it's not going into the risk averse mode. So when the risk averse mode sets in, so if one of them takes a big action, it will likely be President Trump. If he takes a big action, that can cause the yen to strengthen, which means the yen crosses to drop. But unless that happens, I think the comments are just not having the impact that either of those political leaders would like to see. As a result, from markets perspective and how we need to trade them, we just need to keep an eye on the comments. So make sure we are paying attention to our news feeds. But overall, though, I think this is, it's not as sensitive to the comments anymore. So right now, there is a pin here on the weekly candle close. Pin usually means that price has rejected and we're likely to see it come lower. But the important thing to remember here is the close of the candle is still higher than the previous high. So that's why we have two conflicting things going on here, big pin and a positive body here. So the close is still high. So that's why in all of these, the ones that we have looked at where we have a similar formation, we have to watch out for break of this level here, the bottom of the pin. So if the pin does not break, then it's likely to continue higher. But if it does break, then we have a potential short here, and then we're looking for a move to the downside. So this 88.50 area will become very important. Dollar yen, my old charts keep coming back. So we'll leave it at that now. Okay, let's have a quick look at Euro Aussie. Euro Aussie. We are in a range here as well. That's where we are. It's just going sideways, weekly candle close, very, very neutral. So we're looking for price to, if price comes into the bottom here, a 1.4790 level, so 1.4800, we're looking for a bounce to the upside. If the price goes into 151.80 level, we're looking for a bounce to the downside. So range bound market. So there's no clear direction in most of the crosses. So that's what I meant about market trying to find its feet. So give it some time. Just let's see where the chips will fall as they will, and then once we have a clear idea on the direction, then we will see some trending moves. But for now, most of the things are sideways. Aussie Swiss franc. I'm not sure if I have that, but let's see if we can pull up the chart. Aussie Swiss franc. Okay, here we go. Oops. New chart. Aussie Swiss franc looks sideways as well. Doesn't look like it's doing a whole lot at the moment. We have a bit of a range here as well. So this is the wider range, but this is the narrower. So it has, looks like it's rejecting the high. And in this case, the move could be one of these. So bouncing, so I'm going to treat this as a range bound as well. If it comes into 7,800, 0.7800, we're likely to see a bounce towards the downside and looking for price to come and test the bottom here, 75.80 level. And if it holds above, looking for price to go back into the range. A lot of these crosses are sideways right now. There's no clear direction here, the range bound. Okay, perfect. Any other questions? All right, so I'm not seeing any other questions. So you guys have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and I will see you next time.